Saturday, not Friday, because I am injured. I hurt my neck lifting boxes and all the rest of it. So I am here, and this is going to be fun and shorter and sweeter today so that you can get back to life and do all the things. So welcome to a Saturday Live. And we're going to do the things. We're going to have fun, and we're going to make this really pretty background today. So I had it all laid out nice now. Look how pretty is that? So I'm going to use Distress ink, some Oxide, and then I finished it off with a layer of gesso. And then on top of the layer of gesso is the fossilized amber, which really, when you buy this, I'd buy multiples because I love it. And then finish with a fossilized amber on top. That the gesso actually resists, but will dry. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So this is more just kind of a little bit of mixed media play, and it's going to be a nice way to spend my Saturday afternoon, your Saturday afternoon, or Sunday, whatever time it is where you are. 10 p.m. in Norway. I love it. So I didn't want to leave you with nothing, especially after I went live on Hero Arts with Jennifer McGuire, right, and Aaron. And then I'm like, oh yeah, Fridays I do lives, and then I can hardly move my neck. So I was lifting, like a lot of boxes were shipped this week, and I'm doing all of the manual labor, carrying the finished boxes, the paper, moving it around. We're kitting the Disney kit now, so I was lifting like 40-pound boxes of paper, and some of them up and over, and I've pulled all the muscles in the back of my neck. So it's hard to sit and craft because my neck hurts, right? But it's good. This is fun. I just whipped this. I just made this right before I went live so we'd have a sample, and I wanted to see how the Distress Spritz was going to be on the gesso. So you can use gesso or you could use a texture paste, but the whole idea is that you want to put that opaque layer of white on top of the inking when we're done. I'm going to be using my new stencils, so they haven't been listed in the store yet, but I'm working on that for next week because there are stamps and there are dies that are coming as well, and the dies aren't going to be here for about a month. So just know that if you place an order, it could be that it's a pre-order if you order the dies, or you can order them later with one of your other orders. But I thought it'd be fun. I've been sitting on these new stencils and I haven't been able to use them. So I'm using all the Vicky Boutin exclusives that you just can get on vickyboutin.com. Do you have to have them to play? No. You just need a series of stencils. So you want somewhere you're depositing the pattern through, like circles. You want some that you're depositing the pattern around, or the ink around. So it's positive and negative stencils. So I used 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5 different patterns, and you're gonna see the process as we go through it. It's very fun. And do you have any questions? How's everybody doing? Hi, Robin. Hello, Simone. Hello, Natalie. I wasn't sure if you'd be here because this is all very impromptu. And can we have just like chats, a Saturday chat as well? I'm very excited. We are in the final stages of working on my brand new collection that will be out next year. That is a surprise that no one knows any details about, but that's on top of ordering or getting all these kits out that, friends, we just go with it. We just go with one of the papers I had listed isn't in the kit, but everything that we're using is the exact same thing I used to create the projects for the Wrapped in Ribbons kit. It's just one of those that just go with it. It's going to be fabulous. If you ordered this on your own, then you might have more than what I used, but I have tons of stuff left over. And like I said, I'm working on, I think 14 double page layouts, or 10 or 12. It's a lot. And then there's still tons of stuff left over. So just kind of go with it. Someone had emailed me and they're like, oh, I'm missing the one Simple Stories, the journaling paper. And I'm like, oh no. And then I looked, and it's like everybody is, because how the boxes came, it was all packed underneath the Disney stuff. So I didn't even realize when we put the paper out. So now I have like 600 sheets of this one paper that will go in next year's Christmas kit, because it literally, I didn't realize the girls kitted everything and they did a fabulous job. But one of the papers was packed underneath all of the Disney stuff. So we did not even realize that we had missed that one. So I'm like, no biggie. I only used it in one place, like one tag. So no big deal. I just took that one out and went, doesn't matter. We have a whole paper pad. So there's so much stuff in here. So no worries. Cardstock, not a biggie. Don't worry about any of the things, because a lot of it's just used for matting. So I don't want you to stress, especially if it's your first time taking one of my classes. It's all good. You can't really, there's nothing we can't work around, if that makes you feel better. And just to let you know, it's going to get better moving forward from this. It's just all going to get so much better. It just is more going to be more streamlined, so it just makes the process easier, because this one almost made me not want to do this stuff anymore, right? It was very hard. I see you are wearing stars. Please consider making a stamp and die set similar to your heart set. Maybe, yeah. It's just going to be a whole different, it's going to be a different world in 2025. Different world in 2025. And I know everyone loved that heart set. So I love stars. So I would not be opposed. And especially funky stars, like ones that aren't like perfectly, I don't know, what would you say? Like a wonky. I like wonky stars. So we have lots of things that are going to be coming. I've had a lot of new opportunities coming my way, and I'm very excited about it. Just a lot of, it's hard to wrap my head around, to be honest with you, all of the stuff. And, you know, I keep saying that I need an assistant, and now I really freaking need help, because there's no way I can manage all of these things just being one Vicky. But it's good. So I just want you to know all the kits for Wrapped in Ribbons have shipped, unless you just ordered one yesterday afternoon or today. It's all coming, right? They've all been shipped. Even if you're international, the international ones are different. I'm watching all of it, but they're on their way. It's all good. Disney kits are all being kitted. I will be putting those up in the shop next week. I will also be listing my new stamps and stencils. So we're going to be using some of these. And when I flip the camera, I'll get the little, these are, I knew when I put them on, they're a little wonky. They're little moths, but a little wonky. Lots of stuff is coming, because the other thing that I said we're going to do is I'm just going to be doing a huge clean out of grab boxes and like a sales section that will run through December and into the new year, right? So that we can do that. And Canada Post is on strike. So I don't think it will affect very many of them, because I got almost everything out prior to that. It just depends how far away you live from me in Ontario. That maybe it will be a little slower coming, but we still have, right? It's the class is not until December, first weekend in December. So we still have time. So no panics. It's all good. Okay, it's all good. If you have any questions, best to reach out to me at info@vickybooten.com, or you can reach out to Natalie, and if she's not sure, she'll ask me. But if you have any questions I won't catch it on here, right? I won't catch it on here. Just I'll go so fast. But do you have any questions? How was your week? Did you have a good week? Mine was a blur, because literally all I've done for the past 2 weeks is packed orders and did shipping, fulfillment, and worked on a new collection, which meant lots of late nights and all that stuff, right? But yeah, it's good. You got yours in Orlando. Super excited. Me too, because that's what I was working on this morning, is finishing the layouts. And then I have to write instructions next week. So it's fun. And I had done some cards on a little mini class for Brutus Monroe using the stamp and die set, the Christmas one from Wrapped in Ribbons. And I would like to, you need to have a die cut machine. a manual one for the dies for that one. So I would like to do some stuff with that. It's going to be fun. But today is going to be super relaxing. This kind of layering yumminess, right? It's going to be good. So very good. Also, access only will be coming soon, as soon as the instructions are written. Okay, so hopefully I can get that all rolling. It'll be prior to prep. Okay, the prep class. And what is the date for that? It's a Wednesday, and I believe it's the last Wednesday of the month. I just don't know what the day number is, right? So it'll be good. So hello, and we have somebody new here tonight. So there might be lots of new ones. So hello, welcome. And I saw my friend Irene here. I will be in contact with you, Irene, for all that stuff we've talked about. I had to get through the major craziness, and now I feel good. And now, other than repair my neck, because that is craziness. That shows I'm getting old, right? Getting old. So that's what ends up happening. So I'm gonna flip the camera. I am going 27th. Thank you, Ginny. November 27th. So Wednesday is the prep night. We will be doing paper cutting. Do you have to be there live? No. You will have a week and a little bit prior to the class. And then the other thing I'm going to do on the group is start talking about prompts. Because you should start, right? For all my American friends, do you add your Thanksgiving in your holiday album when it's so close to Christmas? Or do you, see, I'm Canadian. Ours was a long time ago, like October 10th, right? October 10th. So how does that work for you guys? Or is it like a whole different thing? But you're probably doing Christmas stuff at the same time you're celebrating Thanksgiving, right? It's kind of like the two kind of come together. But like, look at Red Cup Day was yesterday if you're into Starbucks. So that would be something I would photograph and add to my album. Any baking, anything like that you start, decorating, all of that stuff. So no Christmas, separate crafting. So yeah, does it all blend? And then the other thing that I want to do is start talking about what we're going to do for December. Every year I do something. So I think maybe next Friday we're going to talk about our prep for a whole whack of free content that I do during the holidays. We've done flip tag books. We've done a wreath. We've done with all of Tim Holt's little dies for the houses. We've done stuff for that. We've done the, what do you call that? In the sleigh. I did like the little tag envelopes in that. So we need to start talking about that. And I'm going to do this week, I'm going to post a huge Christmas sale for all of anything that I have that's holiday themed. I'm going to put on sale in my shop as well. Because I think that's fun. That's what I'm going to be using. Everything I already have on hand. I'm not going to buy anything new. It'll just be anything extra that I have from Wrapped in Ribbons, Evergreen and Holly, all of the Christmas collections. So what will be fun is you can use anything that you have on hand, because Christmas, right? The colors are all generally the same. You can mix all your different brands together. It'll be a lot of fun, but for sure it'll be stencils and distress ink and lots of other fun things. So we'll have to talk about that. We'll have to talk about it so we can make a plan. But right now I'm going to flip the camera around. I did actually just comb my hair and brush my teeth to get ready for you guys, because I was down here working, and I don't know what you guys are like. I roll out of bed and just start getting crafty sometimes on the weekend. So, and then I went, oh goodness, I have to go talk to people. I should probably comb my hair. Should probably comb my hair and get out of my pajamas. So I did that. So let's flip the camera. Boop. There we go. And this is what we're going to be working on today. It's not tonight because it's not Friday. I moved my tripod, so let me make sure that it lines up. You missed Red Cup Day? I think it was yesterday. Am I making that up? I think it was yesterday, Red Cup Day. I don't really do Starbucks anymore. I make my own coffee because I like to use a certain almond milk, an almond coconut milk creamer. So it's like I ended up letting go of the Starbucks because I don't drink milk, right? And then I don't like their what they use as their almond milk. I find that some of them are too sweet, right? So we are going to be having fun with this. You are going to need, these are the inks I used. Do you have to use these? No. But this is the palette I picked. I went, ooh, Selvage Patina, love it. Saltwater Taffy, fun. Picked Raspberry, you know I like bright. And then we're using Oxide, which isn't usually the case, but I'm going to be using Prize Ribbon Oxide. So those are my ink colors. Like I said, I love the new Distress Spritz. We're using Fossilized Amber, which is a lovely gold. And then I am using gesso. So does it have to be Vicky Bouton gesso? Absolutely not. You could use any gesso or white texture paste. Again, depending on the medium, it might react with the spray differently, but hey, it's just a piece of paper in our time. So you can definitely give it a try and let's see what we get. Now, what I was saying with the stencils is I have a variety, right? So a stencil like this new floral, if you can see it, this new floral, I'm inking around a pattern, not through. Well, it's still going through, but I will be creating a floral pattern outline because the ink's going to go around a pattern. A stencil like this, I'm going through the stencil, correct? Like I'm going to deposit ink inside. We're going to use it both ways though. We're going to put it inside and we're going to do some stencil stamping with it. But this is like a positive and this is like a negative pattern, right? Because we're inking around the pattern. Now this is a negative because we're going to ink or put the texture paste or gesso through the pattern and we're going to only have the loops left. Why this matters, right, is some of them we're depositing a large pattern. Some we're going to cover what we've done because we're only going to leave that linear pattern behind. And then the floral, which we're going to show more of because this is really beautiful. And then I have this one, which is a little dot one, right? I'm going to send you, I have a whole box that I have packed and ready for you, Natalie. The new Stamp Stencils dies I want you to do some stuff with. It's all ready to go. The dies are just my tester samples. I've ordered them, but they come from China, so they're going to be a solid month before we get those. So I'm going to send them so Nat can do some fun things. But let me show you, give me a second. Remember, I was working on Christmas, so stuff's everywhere. I just want to grab something. Okay. So for Vicky Bouton exclusive stencils, this is the original. So even if you go on my website, it might say sold out and whatever. I have not had time to update anything, but just know it's coming this week. So this was the original set of exclusive stencils that I had done. They're hand-drawn, a whole bunch of my art that I created. So they're not through American Crafts or anybody else. They're just available on vickybouton.com. But they're larger stencils, which I really like the 6x9 size because it works better with scrapbook or bigger backgrounds, but also great in art journaling. So there was art layers, flat brush. So these have been out for a while. Scribble heart. That is not Scribble heart. I think I wrote that one down wrong. Oh, it is. It's Scribble heart. Loops. This is the one I'm going to be using today. This one is Scribble Love. This one is Scribble Dots, super popular one. I want to do another one of these in like a larger size because I love them. And let's see, because they're stuck together. Crazy Grid. Doodle Polka Dot. Dots. And large circles. So we're using these, but I want you to see something. So with dots and large circle, in the new set that is coming out that I'm going to be posting next week, Water Rings is a new stencil, but it works with this. It was outlined around this, so you could work. I want everything that you buy that I'm going to continue using, and it will work well together. So that works with that one. In conjunction with that is this one that works with the smaller circles. So this one is called Dot Outline, which is almost like the cap, like a little cap, like a toothpaste cap or something. It will work around this. Okay, so with the new ones, that one is called Water Rings Dot Outline. I love this one. It's called Tile 1 because there'll be lots of versions of tile. I love this because this is a repeatable pattern, meaning you can move this stencil and line it up, and you could do like a 24 by 12. You could ink your whole wall or color your whole wall with this one because it's a repositionable stencil. So that one is called Tile 1. This one is called Floral Frenzy. This is what I'm talking about, that the pattern is the flowers that I drew, and then the ink goes around the pattern. The one I used today, I'm going to show you in a second. This one is called Fans. So I just drew all of these fans. It's a stencil. And then this is the one that I'm going to be using today. It's called Daisy Chain. So these are the new ones that are coming. I'm going to be adding new stencils quarterly to my website, just because you know I like to do mixed media. And with the changes that are coming in next year, that I'm no longer working with American Crafts, I'm going in a different direction. I'm not going to be doing stamps and stencils. So I'm going to be doing my own exclusive stamps and stencils. So I need these things because I love them. They make me very happy. To be able to create my own art, right, is a lot of fun. Is collection 1 coming back? Yes, Janice. I have all of them in stock. Like I said, I just have not had time to go and update my store. It's what I want to work on next week in conjunction with writing instructions for Wrapped in Ribbons, is go over the shop and update. A lot of things they sold out just because I have not had time to go and look at inventory, but I'm going to be working on that. So I just wanted to show you those. So they're going to be listed in the store next week. I'm going to send a newsletter out. The other thing that is going to be listed is the Disney album, which is it's album and layouts. It's a weekend event again. It's just a smaller one. It'll just be a 2-day with a prep day. And that's going to get listed next week. And what else? And then grab boxes are coming because we have to get the Disney finished so I can make space to start pulling stuff. But for sure next week will be Disney and the other one, right? Next year, if you're not affiliated with AC, will internationals have access? Yes, it's good. You're going to be so happy. A Scrappy Lisa, just know it's just different. It's just something different. It was time. And there's still stuff that I'm working on that is in the works with American Crafts, but I'm also branching out and doing something else. So just know it's going to be good. I don't think anyone is going to be disappointed. I think that, just so you know, I'm incredibly happy. Creatively, it has been very amazing, and it's coming. The other thing I want to announce, if anyone is on the fence to go on a cruise with me, this summer in July, we're going to Norway. And they tell me that it's as amazing, it's as amazing as Alaska. So the ship is selling out so fast that we are going to be running out of rooms, right? We are going to be running out of rooms. So if you want to join me next summer, you need to get in touch or take a look at cruiseandcrop.com. I'm sure that Natalie will put a link up for us. Cruiseandcrop.com to look into the cruise for July. It's going to be so much fun, and it'll be my first class using this whole new adventure. So it's going to be really fun. It's going to be really fun. The announcement for where I'm going and where I'm going to end up hasn't come yet. I think it's going to be like a little Christmas surprise. We're going to announce it so we have something to look forward to, and then I can talk a little bit more openly about the things, but we have not made an announcement yet. Just got to get all the ducks in a row, right? But I'm just telling you, but my collection's almost done. We have been working on it. We're just at finishing up. There's going to be an album, and it's going to be new and awesome. We're working on that this week. And then the papers, and I'm doing a whole bunch of mixed media stuff tomorrow to scan so that we can have original art layered on the backgrounds and in all of the papers. So it's going to be very good. Did I miss any questions? Did I miss? So many fun things are coming. So many fun things are coming. So for today, what do you need? You need a sheet of foundations paper or a base that can handle. You could use watercolor or heavier cardstock, just something that is going to be able to handle the wet mediums. Okay. I did not gesso my background because Distress ink, gesso resists distress ink. So if you put gesso down as a layer first, you're not going to get the vibrancy because this ink tends to start to, oh my goodness, puddle on that because it is kind of like an acrylic. So the ink will not stay on here as easily. Like if I put water on here, I could wipe all that off. But we're going to show you fun things. Can you see the texture in there? I hope that you can. It's hard when it has a metallic sheen, but I'm hoping that you can see the fun that is going to happen. You need a heat gun. Gesso doesn't tend to, isn't really friends with heat, but if we do it in like little increments, I heat gunned it and made it work, so it'll be good. Yes, it's going to be good. The company that I'm working with is one that you guys are all familiar with and you love, and it's going to be very good. And good things are coming. And I'm also in talks with another that good things are coming. Good things are coming. It's going to be good. You need a sheet of acrylic. I use the cover of this. You could use a plastic bag, whatever you have, because first, to break this page, meaning we have a big white surface, how are we going to get it started? I'm going to put my ink on my plastic. I'm going to mist it, and I'm going to kiss it to deposit my first layer of pigment. And then I'm going to dry that, and then I'm going to stencil on top of it, and then I'm going to stencil again, and then I'm going to do stencil stamping, and then I'm going to put a layer of gesso. That layer of gesso I'm going to heat set, and then we're going to put a layer of the Distress Spritz on top of it. It's going to be so much fun. So let's get started. You guys can all have your guesses, but I'm not telling you because I can't yet. I can't, but it's very exciting. It's very exciting. And I just want you to know good things are coming. Good things are coming. And I have to say, if you haven't already, and I'm sure because Natalie is freaking amazing, she will link on Jennifer McGuire and Hero Arts. I did a chat on Wednesday. So I'll tell you another story as we're getting ready. These are the two colors I'm going to start my background with. Okay. So on Wednesday, I'm driving home from Toronto because I went and dropped the last batch of international orders off. And I get a call from Riley's girlfriend that, oh my goodness, Vicki, there was a huge crash and the power went out. Like the whole house power's gone. So she goes outside, and I guess there was somebody driving down our street that had a medical emergency, and all of a sudden accelerated, ran up over, smashed into some cars, ran up over the curb and hit the power pole, whatever you call it, power pole, the pole that has electricity on it, and the car flipped. And I don't know, we don't know what happened because we didn't go near there, but we had no power on Wednesday before I had to go live for the Hero Arts chat. So I had to go set it up at my studio, at the shop where I fulfill orders. And so it was I was worried it was going to be a hot mess because I'm like, I don't have a light here. I found a light I had bought that I want to set up in my new filming studio that we are nowhere near getting ready. And I was able to put it all together and had a wonderful chat with my friend Jennifer McGuire and Erin, the owner of Hero Arts. So if you haven't checked that out, I'm very sad because all the live chat, I can't see now. So whatever you guys said, everybody was emailing me and saying, oh, the chatter was so good. Everybody was so excited. I am not ignoring you. I have no clue. I have no clue what you guys were talking about because I didn't want to be rude and not look at the people I was talking to. So I did not look at the chat at all. So those interviews are a lot of fun. You can definitely check them out. There's some great ones with a whole bunch of different types of industry people, and really fun. So definitely check that out. Those are the minutes from the last meeting. That's what I've been up to this point, right? So when you go to put your ink on a non-porous surface that we can then mist, flip it and kiss it to kind of create this really fun loose watercolor background, which will be the base of where we'll start. Sorry, I'm a little tongue-tied. The base where we'll start. You want to make sure you don't get too crazy with the ink. I am not going to cover this whole square because I really want it to sit inside the borders of the white paper. The other thing I want you to keep in mind, when we go to flip it, it's going to be opposite. So if I want to have saltwater taffy up in this corner, I need to make sure I deposit it here. So I'm going to put like some saltwater taffy here and then some picked raspberry like in an L. But then when we mist it and flip it, just know that the saltwater taffy is going to go up here, and then the picked raspberry is going to go down here. So just know too that it's not going to, it will look similar. It will be inspired by this, but playing with water, you can never get the exact same results because it does what it wants to do. That water is going to go where it wants to. That watercolor is going to go where it wants to. Yeah, Jennifer was responding during the live chat, probably between her and her brother. I saw her look down. I just didn't. I didn't, because you know me. If I responded, you'd totally see the top of my head. You'd know I wasn't. And I just was being in the moment. So just know that it was awesome. I think Brienne is one, she's here, Loveland, is one of the moderators there too. So thank you for doing such a fabulous job. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I very much enjoyed that. So if you have a chance to check it out, please do. Hopefully I didn't sound like a total nitwit, because it's hard. It's hard doing those things sometimes. I don't even know what I'm talking about. And then I'm all over the place anyway. So to break this page, our first layer, I'm going to kiss some Distress ink, leaving about a 2-inch border around here because it's wet. You know what will happen when I deposit this, because we're going to kiss this like it's the rock. No kissing it like it's Nona, Abuela, Grandma. When I put this in, I'm going to squash it right down and let it sit on that paper and start to soak in the background. This is like quick deposit, quickly depositing a watercolor pattern. And then I'm going to go in now. So this again was saltwater taffy, regular distressing, because I want a transparent, translucent kind of effect. And then I'm going to kind of go around that with my picked raspberry. So you see what I'm saying? I left lots of border around here, so when I go to smush this down, I'm still going to have a nice white border around here. So the other thing that you need is your mister. And we are going to make this fairly wet. This mister has a little bit of a mind of its own. It doesn't mist out of the middle. It only mists out of the, I might put a little bit more ink right here. It only mists out of the sides. You know, it's got a lazy eye. Okay, so now we're gonna take this. It's gotta be pretty wet. If you don't make this very wet, all those dots are gonna show up, and I don't mind some of them, but I want, for the most part, to have a watercolor effect on the background. So we're gonna put that down. So I did opposite of my page. Boop. So I might do one more. I'll do one more. All of that talk, and then I did it wrong anyway. But it's just a piece of paper and my time. You can use anything that you have that's water soluble. Okay? Now I have to say, Foundations paper is not what it originally was. I have to say with the new owners that they changed manufacturers, and no one talked to me about it. And this paper no longer has a vellum finish on it. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. Can I still use it? Yes, it's still a heavy paper, but it is not what we originally played with. Let's just say that, and I'll show you why. Can you see the little darker dots on there? That means that ink went right through to the back of the page. Foundations paper is not supposed to do that. It's supposed to sit on top of a vellum finish. So will I still use all my foundations paper? I sure will. But is it doing the same thing as your OG foundations paper? No. It is leaking through. So I'm going to do this again, but the reverse. I could. Yeah, actually, let's just do that. But this one has a little bit more. Yeah, we'll just go with it, right? Because just a piece of paper. And our time, the only thing is I won't have the, I'll deposit one more layer of saltwater taffy up here. Okay, how about that? So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Any of these dark spots is because the ink has leaked right through to the background. Original foundations paper, this ink would have all sat on top and it would be way more vibrant. This paper's porous. So it's acting more like now like just a smooth cardstock. It is, it's not the same. And you want, what's embarrassing is I was on a cruise teaching and I'm like, now look what happens when you use foundations paper and all the ink sits on the top, and I'm doing it and I'm going, what is going on? Did I forget how to do everything? Because it's not working. Do you see what I'm saying? It's not working like foundations paper. And that's because it's not the same. So if you are using this and you're like, oh my goodness, why is this not, why aren't I getting the effects? And you can even feel it. The paper starts to lift. So just know it's not you. I don't know if you can see that. Look, it looks like it has hives. The texture, because it doesn't have a vellum finish. Don't worry, you know that I'll work on something new for the new year, but I just want you to know if you're working on it, has anyone noticed that? Has anyone noticed? So if you have the pads, that the OG one, the original with this, but if you have the pad that doesn't have acetate on it, you're good. That is the original when it was reordered. If you have it from a few years ago and it has the acetate sheet on it, you're golden. If you ordered it recently and it has the acetate again and it's not like a solid paper finish, then it's not the same paper. It's not the same paper. Will foundations paper be part of, well, I'm going to do some version of it. I am, because this is not, this, we need it. We need it in our lives. So we'll do something that will replace it. I would like to do this, and I'd like to do a great 12 by 12 watercolor paper, to be honest with you. So I will figure it out. But I feel like it needs to be said, because if you're playing with this and you're going, why am I not getting the same results? I don't want you to think it's you. It's not you. It's me. Right? It's not you. It's me. I'm going to deposit just a little bit more saltwater taffy here. Can I do one more? Will you be mad? Let's do one more. I'm going to do a little less water. I have one sheet. So remember, if we use the front and back, and we used to get, I don't know if I'll do the black paper, to be honest with you, Robin, and I'll tell you why. It just doesn't sell as well. Just doesn't sell as well. And when it comes, especially nowadays in business, that matters, right? So the black just does not sell as well as the, so I'm going to do the peach up here, the saltwater taffy. It doesn't sell as well as the black. It's not watercolor paper, Diane. It's just a smooth foundation, a smooth, heavier weight cardstock. But it had a vellum finish on it, meaning it's like a sizing on top that would prevent the water from soaking in. It will eventually, because it's paper, but It's just different. It's just different. It's still a good heavyweight card. So you still can do the techniques. It's just not going to, I really notice it, friends, when I use my blending tool. Because on foundations paper, the OG one, the blending tool would go across and you wouldn't get, it would blend beautifully. Distressing blended beautifully on it. And now, so let's try one more. Okay, I'm going to do one more, a little less water. It would blend beautifully. And that's when I was teaching on that cruise and I noticed, no, I didn't do the same again. I'm like, why am I not getting the same effect? What is going on? Like, it was freaking me out because I'm like, I know what I'm doing. I'm not new. And it turned out I knew it. It's like the paper changed when they reordered it. And I thought it was weird that it came with the vellum on it, the acetate, because the acetate got canceled because the cost of this had gone up. So I think when they changed factories, see, this is what I wanted, a couple of those little dots. It's just different. But the one thing that is magic about this is I would never have got that pattern on regular foundations paper because it wouldn't have, this soaked in, and that's why I'm going to get these dots. When I lift it, you'll see what I'm talking about. I'm just leaving it on here for a second so it bleeds in to that paper and I don't lift it and all the color goes everywhere. Ooh, I love that. Okay. So there, I just like that one. See the difference? Way more water, very pretty, less water, got that effect. So I am gonna blend out a little bit of that. So if I would have done this on the original foundations, right? This would have moved around because it was sat on top of the paper. This one, it's soaked in. But the plus, the golden nugget, is I could never have got that pattern on old foundations paper because it wouldn't have, just a little bit of that over here, it would have soaked in. It wouldn't have soaked in. I'm just putting a couple of those dots on there because they're pretty. Okay, we'll dry it again and let's go into the next layer. Yeah, just different, right? Foundations paper, I'm just telling you, right? I agree. I would love a good watercolor paper. A good cold press watercolor would be nice. So if you see a little bit of blue on here, it's just that this sheet of paper, when I had done one of my techniques, got a couple little splats on there of blue. So it wasn't in the ink, it was already on the paper. So we're not going to bake this like a cookie. I just want to take the moisture out of it so I can go now and stencil on top of this. Did you pick a couple of stencils? Who's playing with me today? Is anyone playing along? You're just hanging out. Thanks for joining me too on Saturday. Right, because I was coming live. I was going to go live last night, and then I'm like, my neck is killing me. I can't do it. And it's been a lot lately, I have to say. I was talking to somebody, and they're like, how are you doing? I'm like, I'm good. I just have to say my gas tank is empty right now. I feel like when I'm done this tonight, I will work for a little bit, but I've been shutting it down. Normally I'm a night owl, and lately, I don't know how you guys are feeling. I find too, with the time difference, the time change, like that, whatever, we fell back, whatever it is. Oh, this 4:30 dark, I can't handle it. My body wants to go to bed. And I think it's because I'm old. I think it's because I'm old. The time change sucks. It does. Like it's just drains it right out of you. So I can't wait for you guys to watch this magic happen now. Okay, so look how easy was that to put. This is beautiful if you use this by itself. If this was just a background and you were going to do a layout on it, beautiful, right? So now we're going to do some tone on tone stenciling. And this one, I want to deposit a lot of the picked raspberry. So that's the one I'm going to go with, this, where the pattern is a flower and I'm going to be inking around it, like in the negative space. Okay. So I am going to do some floral patterns in the bottom corner and over here. So I'm not going to go too low with this, but I'm going to ink over in here, not up here, just here. Okay. Is this a repeatable pattern? It is not, but it doesn't mean I can't fake it. I can't fake it. You're going to be covering a lot. So if you're new here, welcome. If you are here all the time watching, but you still haven't kind of taken the jump into the whole world of like making art and mixed media, the one thing, if you were new and you were just starting this and you said, Vicki, I'm going to get started, what would you say are the basics? All I really need to get started. And this is what I would tell you as my good friend. We're shopping. I'd say, what do you need? You need a good foundation, like a paper to use, because you won't get these results on a piece of cardstock. You just won't. The paper is not meant for wet techniques. So I'd say make sure you get something. Foundations paper. Tim Holtz has great papers. The only problem is they're not 12 by 12, right? Because he's not really scrapbooking. So you will have limitations on the size, but you want like a good paper. You could go into an art store like Dick Blick or DeSera's, and you could get bigger pads of mixed media paper that you could cut down to size, but a good foundation is very important to get good results. The other thing I'd say, start collecting Distress ink. The one thing, I am a Ranger fan. I adore Tim Holtz. I have used this ink, if you've been around for a long time, because I've been doing this for 23 years. And Distress ink is like 20 years old, I think, right? Distress. And I started using it as soon as I met Tim Holtz. I loved it because I have an art background. So I was using watercolor and other things. And then when Tim's stuff came along, I'm like, it's awesome. And if you said why, I'd say because it's a great color palette. It's very easy to find. It's not breaking the bank. You can start with the minis and then go to the full regulation size. I think Tim calls these the larger ink pads. They're water soluble. It just is, I think, a great medium. And then you can expand into the Distress line. I love it. I love Ranger, great company, and I love Tim Holtz. And then the other thing I'd say is vitally important is stamps and stencils. Why? The art is made for you. You don't have to hand draw anything. You can get amazing results from having something that already has beautiful artwork on it. So those are the things: a decent paintbrush, a number 8 or a number 10 round, not from the dollar store. Go to Michael's or go to one of those art supply stores, go to vickybooten.com and buy just like a $6 paintbrush. You're good to the paintbrush. You don't have to replace it. And then just simple tools, right? Heat gun, water. You don't have to break the bank to do this, okay? So I just want you to know, could you do this on cards? Yes. Do you have to be a scrapbooker? Absolutely not. Next year we're full on starting our art journaling recipe book. That is going to be a thing. I'm going to be doing posts all the time on my socials showing you my ideas and how I come up with them in an art journal. And then we're going to turn those ideas into bigger things. So I just want you to know. So welcome. Lots of new friends are popping on and saying hello, and I love that. So hi, I'm Vicky Booten. I've been doing this really my whole life, some version of art. Everything from coloring books to mural painting. I draw, I do all of the things. And then I had a baby and I started scrapbooking, and it's kind of where I found my niche. But it doesn't mean that I won't try all of the things. And I really feel confident in saying it's a piece of paper in your time. What do you have to lose? Just give it a shot. And just know it's probably not going to turn out exactly how you wanted it the first time. But that doesn't matter. You just keep going. Every new piece of paper New time that you do this art is a new opportunity to learn new things. Okay. Okay, I'm done now with that. So watch what's going to happen here. Like I said, this is like a negative. I'm going to ink around the pattern. Watch this. Oh! And because this ink is translucent, meaning you can see through to the layers, you're going to still see part of the pattern we already deposited on here. You're still going to see it. I am not inking a rectangle. I'm going to, ink a loose pattern of flowers, and then I'm going to move this. This is not a repositionable stencil, meaning that I created this when I drew it was just kind of random flowers. It's not something I could move, line up, and move it around. Oh my goodness, even if that's all you're doing with this today. You could do a whole other one of, look at that tone on tone. So the first layer is watercolor, means it's diluted pigment, right? It flowed around. Now we're using direct out of pad ink blending tool. Domed foam, definitely you need these. You can do it with this as well. People love these. I'm still OG, I love this. But look how pretty that is. If this was OG foundations paper, I could totally go in. I'll get a little bit of watermarking, but I'm not going to get full on watermarking because this is porous. This paper is too porous. But this is the other magic with Distress ink, is it's a reactive ink, meaning that when I go to put water on, I can wick into that. Lift the water off, don't rub it, lift it, and then I can have that kind of pretty watercolor effect. It would be like this, bam, if this was OG foundations paper. I'll try to find a piece. I have a whole bunch out in the garage, but I don't know if I have any down here. If this was OG foundations paper and I would have sprayed water on top of it, you would have little circles of water marking. You just won't get it on here. I'm drying this because I'm going to deposit the ink again because I don't like that. I want it to be more impactful. So I'll just reposition my stencil and I'm going to deposit some ink on top of that again because I want it to be kind of that dark, delicious picked raspberry. So I'm going to press some of that in there. Not all of it. I want that mottled dark and light. The other thing with this paper now is I can't mess around on it too long because I will pill it, meaning have those like little tears in the paper because it's just not meant for super wet technique. It's just sad, but it is what it is. And you know, we aren't going to get super upset about it. Look, love it. So I can't reposition it, but if I move it over and fake it, I can do it. So I'm just going to do a little bit of pattern right in here. But I'm not going to touch where I already deposited it. Okay. So this one is daisy chain, the stencil too. It's very pretty. Look how pretty. Okay. Very nice. What do I want to go in now and do? We are going to go in. We should dry this, and I'll tell you why. If I don't dry it a little, if I go to layer a color on top, I'm going to really pick it up, right? I'm going to pick that color up. And if I want to go in here and put selvage patina on top of that, if I don't heat set this a little bit, so make it dry, I'm going to really pick that pink up and dirty up my selvage patina. I'm all right if it happens a bit, but I don't want it to full on do that. So if you're like, I love this, but I am a very traditional scrapbooker, what would I do with this? Well, we're just making background paper, right? So you could totally take this and you could make a scrapbook page on it, just like you would a piece of cardstock, or just like you would a piece of pattern paper. And if you're out there and you're like, but I have boys, or I don't like these colors, I don't want rainbow, then don't do it. Don't pick a floral pattern and don't pick pink. This could have easily, you could have went in with greens and blues, and you could pick a different pattern. So I'm just showing you the technique. How you want to apply it is totally up to you and totally okay. All right. So now I'm going to go on, like I just said, I dried that a little so that it's still water reactive. So this is, even though it's not water, it's wet. So it still will pick up and make a new color, but we're okay with that. Any questions? Do you guys have any questions? I know I talk fast because I get very excited. So if I'm going through and you're like, what is happening here? I will very happily answer any questions. So now I'm going to take this circle. So I'm going to deposit pigment now through this. So I did something backwards. You know, normally I put the ink on, we missed it, we stamp it and then ink through it. We're not doing that today. We're going to do it after. So I'm going to go down and do a line of circles. This is not a repeatable pattern, meaning these circles are not the same. They're all different, but you can cheat, okay? So I'm going to go on here, and my paper's a little buckly, so be careful. And I'm going to put selvage patina through here because I like the contrast. Like this reminds me of like Hawaii. Like this reminds me of a hot climate, and it's November in Canada. I am totally okay with embracing a hot climate. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to deposit this color. Oh my goodness, watch what's going to happen. So it's going to pull every detail, the water marking that I did when I missed it a little bit. It's going to show the layers. I'm going to get a purple because when I put that selvage patina on top of the pink, it's going to give me a purpley color. In any areas that are kind of white, it's still going to go selvage patina. Watch what's going to happen right here. So where the dark pink is going to go purple, where the light color is going to give us a whole different effect. Oh my goodness, I love it. Look at that. So we're almost building shadow on top of here, right? So then this will give me a full-on selvage patina, but ooh. So I have to say too, I get effects on this paper that I would not have got if it was OG Foundations paper, because when I put the water into this porous paper, it made the fibers swell. So it almost feels like there's a texture on this paper now, because the fibers, when the water went in, they expanded, the paper fibers expanded, and then you get this really cool pattern. So even though it's a sad day that it doesn't have the vellum finish on it, it's an okay day because we embrace it and go, okay, what kind of effect am I going to get that will be different from the OG Foundations paper? And it's still, just be very, when you're doing the things, be an observer when you're making the art. Observe what's happening and kind of look and go, oh my goodness. And also, I want you to question, like, what would happen if? What would happen if I went on here and then when I was done with the selvage patina, what would happen if I put a little bit of a darker blue around some of these? I'm not doing that, but I'm saying, what if? Be an observer, because the magic things that can happen, layering stencils, just that alone is awesome. So if you find that you're getting any paper pilling, meaning like your paper starts to tear, it's because your base wasn't dry. Hi, Gail, Paula, not Gail, it's Paula Gail. Question, as I'm new and only caught 35 minutes in, what do you do with, or how do you use the finished artwork? The finished artwork could literally be just the process of making, and I don't do anything with it because I just, right? You could frame it. It's just mixed media art. I could put a scrapbook layout on here, so put photos on here and embellish it. I could run it through my Cricut or Sizzix or my Silhouette, and I could die cut shapes out of it, butterflies, so for contained art. So if I wanted to take this crazy background, but I like more of a clean effect, then I could cut hearts or shapes out of it and layer it on a white. I could sew on it. I could make cards out of it. What in essence, you could make wrapping paper. This could be wrapping paper for a custom gift. You could do some of these techniques on your wall. It literally is all about making art and layering pattern. So for me, I'm of the school as I don't care if I ever did anything with this, Paula. For me, It fills my heart, soul. It's great for my mental health to just sit and make it because I love it. It's like, what am I going to get? What result am I going to get? But I will 100% make these into scrapbook layouts. Look at that. Because a lot of my followers are memory keepers, right? But it's the process for me. I love this. And I would just have a whole stack of them. These could go in an album and you could just look at your art. You could frame them. If you don't put anything that is textural on here, like I'm going to put the gesso one, so I can't do this next step I'm going to tell you about. But I could run this through my Mink to flatten it out. But I would love die cutting out of this. Yeah. So really, it's like if you sat down and say you were doing, call this abstract art. So if I call it abstract art, you could see that this could be your finish, right? Because you're like, I'm making art, just abstract art. If this was a landscape, you would look at it and go, totally, I get the process is just making this landscape. So one of the things I find, especially North Americans with teaching, having taught thousands, I teach thousands of people. We have to have a purpose for the art. Like it's like a job instead of a pastime or hobby or craft. So I want you to be okay. If you're finding me for the first time, but you don't scrapbook, you're like, I don't even know what that is. And you just enjoy the process of this, it's totally okay to just make art. You could frame these and put them up around your house, or they just go in a box, or they go in the garbage, and that's totally okay. If you got what you needed out of it by just sitting down and making it, totally okay. So remember I said that this doesn't line up? It doesn't line up as the same circle, but I can totally use this now for spacing because I want these to come right to the bottom of the page. So I'm just going to put it on here just for spacing. Does that make sense? Did that sound wackadoo? Just saying, you don't have to do anything with it. It could literally be, if the scale was smaller, you could totally see this as a card, right? But I could cut any section out of this and put a sentiment on it and call it a day, couldn't I? So if I wanted to do a slimline card or a A2 size card, I could cut any section out of this. I would mount it on that card background like a piece of mixed media art. And then I'd put a big gold sentiment on it or a die cut sentiment or stamped sentiment on it. And that would be it. It'd be an art card, which I think would be fun. And I'm going to be doing lots of them next year because it's my way of card making is I love mixed media art. Isn't that pretty? Could this be done? It most certainly could. We could call that a day. Look how lovely that is just for a background paper or whatever you want to do with it. But I'm not done. So there is, so far we did the background where we broke the page with a watercolor layer. And then we dried that. And then we went in and I layered the flowers with the same color of ink, but because it was straight out of the pad, it looks so much richer. And that was picked raspberry. And then that was a negative space. I was filling the space around that floral pattern, right? Filling around the floral pattern. So when you're shopping for stencils, keep those things in mind, right? You want different scale, big, medium, small, linear, round, floral, stars. And then this stencil, we deposited the pigment through. And now I'm going to take Oxide. Why Oxide? There is a chalkiness to it and more opacity. And we're going to get that sheet of plastic back or whatever you're using. Make sure you're putting it on the right side. So make sure that stencil, I want to ink the back of that stencil. Okay. So just make sure it lines up. So when you go to put your ink on, you're putting it on the back. And I'm going to take this Prize Ribbon Distress Oxide, which is a blend of pigment and, oh my goodness, help me. I knew I was going to say it and I'd forget. Pigment and somebody's going to tell me because I have a brain fart. Pigment and Mari, you know what I'm talking about. Dye, thank you. It's a combination of pigment and dye. You can see right on there, it's chalky. This is transparent, translucent. This is chalky. So I want that because I want it to negate the background a little bit more. Thank you, friends. Anti-Caffeine Crafts said, question, what would happen if I used a more detailed stencil rather than the circles? I believe that if you put a more detailed stencil on, try it because it's a piece of paper in your time, but if you start mixing very similar patterns, you can't decipher the pattern. Does that make sense? By me using something very simple and a larger pattern, I can clearly see flowers, I can clearly see the circles, and then I can clearly see the pattern underneath. If I would have went in with another crazy pattern on top, will it work? Yes, but I don't think it's as impactful, if that makes sense. It's not as impactful. And can I tell you something, Leah, you know I love gel plate printing and mixed media art. So just watch this, like, things that are coming, because my favorite thing to do is literally cut them up and put them back together, sew them, and do paper piecing with all of my background art. Right? I love it. So now I'm going to take, this is the back of the stencil I just used, and I'm going to press my Oxide onto here. So watch what's going to happen. Normally we would do this as the same step when we ink through it, but we're doing it different. And we are going to do that whole rectangle of pigment. Have a paper towel handy, and you're going to mist the heck out of this because you want to turn this now into ink or paint. So it's a little wasteful on, now in a perfect world, I wouldn't waste this. In a perfect world, that's wet, it's on a non-porous, I would take this, I'd mist it, and let's take that original one that I had, right? The original one I didn't use, because I would never waste this in the real world. I'd put it on something. So what happens if I put this now on top of here? Instead of wasting it, we will just deposit some of that blue ink for another project instead of wiping it off with a paper towel, right? Oh, I love it. And then I'll set it aside to dry. Instead of just wiping it on a paper towel, now I've just used it for something else. So we'll set that aside. We'll wipe this off now. You could keep depositing that too, because now when I put on that pink, it turned purple because it picked some of the pink ink up. So normally when I'm doing this by myself, I would have my whole table and I just have tons of paper ready to go because I don't like to waste. You're getting the same sewing machine that I got for my mom. It's a good one. Make sure you get that gold thread too. I love it. Okay, so now here is my stencil with all that ink on it. We're going to mist it. You need to get it wet because this is non-porous, right? It's plastic. It's on like this plastic background. So now all that ink is just sitting there and marinating. So now I'm going to pick that up and I'm going to place it over top of our inked circles. Now I have fake nails, so I need a picker upper because I can't get my fingernail underneath it. So there we go. Picker upper. Get rid of the mat. Have a paper towel handy. Should have done that ahead of time, but I didn't. You ready? So I'm going to flip this and I'm going to position it over what we just did. If it's offset a little, totally, oh, I love it. Offset it. Do it. And now we're going to take our paper towel. We're going to press that in. I love it so much. Can I tell you, in a perfect world, I would have taken another sheet of paper and that pattern would have all went on a white page that we could have had for a layer for later. So I want that to soak in. We want that to soak in to the background. Will it look exactly the same as the last one? No, it won't, because that's impossible. And then look at, oh, I love that. And then what I did do as well is I just kind of moved it down here and got whatever was left on the stencil pressed around those circles, because I'm okay if it's not full on blue. Okay. So then I'm going to go in there and I'm going to heat set this. Where's the OG? Trying to find the original one. I don't know where I put it. Oh, it's on the floor. Let me look. Hi, Melinda. I know, but it's not Friday. I'm glad that you found me. I hurt my neck. So normally this would have happened last night, but it didn't, because I hurt my neck. So I'm glad that you found me, because that's what I said to Rich. Well, that was silly, because I told everybody on Hanging with Hero that I'd go on Friday nights, and then right before it, I'm like, I can't do it. I can hardly move my neck. And then I'm like, all those people aren't going to find me now. But you found me. So thank you for joining me. I'm happy to have you here. Okay. I have to clean up. I am of the school of cleaning. I know that many are not. But I like less work later. So there. Let me show you now so you can see where we're going with this. There was a lot more pink up in there. So here's my OG. Oh, see, I just wiped up all my blue. Next thing we're going to do is some dots. Because see, now it's very like a block of color, right? So how do I tie all of this in? Yay! Hi, Stephanie. So how I tie this in is I've got ahead of myself and I wiped everything up. So imagine you still have ink on your thing. This is where a good round brush, this is a number 8, and you want a brush that has decent bristles so it comes into a point, because that barrel will hold the water, and that's when you get the good paint drips. So let's add some water on here, and we're going to go in here and we're going to make this make sense by, put some more water, by putting those drips down. So it ties it into the rest, right? So I don't have just this block of paint. Watch, you don't get it on you or the cat. I want some down here. Easy way to tie in your color palette, because does it make sense? You might look and go, I don't even know, why'd you pick these colors? That this will help tie that in. And then last, we can take this, add some water, and we can get those big drips. Hold it up tall. Woo! They're my favorite, because you can't get those off your paintbrush, right? So just hold it up high and let it drip down so you get the splat. I'm very particular over my splat. I love it, Rhonda. We have a lot of fun, right? We have a lot of fun when we're here doing these. So what you want to do is, I want to heat gun these. I want to set them. Because if I go and I try to lift the extra moisture up right away, what would end up happening is I'll lift all the pigment. So if I go in here now and I heat gun it, again, I'm not trying to bake it like a brownie, and I don't want to lose the pattern of my splat. I hold it far enough away that that pigment will push to the outer edges of the drips and give me a dark line. So even if I want to lift the extra pigment up, it will still have a really dark outer ring and then a lighter center. I don't like to put too much heat on here for too long because it'll buckle the paper. But I also want that pigment that is floating in the water. If I don't lift it, the water will evaporate and I'd just be left with a darker circle. So I will come in here now and I'll lift some of these, but then some I will continue to heat set. See? Oh, I love this. Let's show you one. So let's lift this one. So see that outer ring of pigment? So it's dark, but then the center is light. So I won't do all of them, but I will take a couple that will give me light and dark. So maybe that one. And then I'm going to heat set that pigment a little bit more. And did you notice with the paper towel, I didn't rub it. I just pressed down to lift the pigment. So we're going to do a little bit of a gesso series as well. Next week, I want to do where we're going to put gesso on top to bring white to the top. So the whole idea with the gesso is I'm trying to bring white back up to the top because you have all this pigment and pattern down here. So if I gesso it, I can bring the white back up to the top. Next week, we are going to create a pattern and we're going to gesso around the pattern. So we're going to have contained funk within a space, and then we're going to quiet around it. So just know we're going to do two different things. This week, we're going to apply the gesso as a main pattern, and next week, we're going to use gesso to quiet the pattern and the funk going around. Okay? So today is gesso 1, and next Friday will be gesso 2. I use paper towels that I use for cleaning, wiping work to die cut flowers. Me too, Kathleen. I'll have to find the magazine. So, must be 15 years ago now. There was a magazine that I worked for called Scrapbooks, Etc. by Better Homes and Gardens. And I had worked with them for years and finally got my own column. And my column was all mixed media art. So I think it was the first or second column in the book. The cover was my art, and it was all paper towel art. So I took all my paper towels and I die cut flower shapes out of them and made flowers. I went and got a branch and made cherry blossoms all down the branch. So yes, I agree. I've been doing that. I never throw a pretty paper towel away. And I'm sure Irene is like, I'm sorry, Irene. Irene had a house fire. She had been saving all her paper towels with me so that we could do that paper towel art. Which, you know what would work really great with this is that heart die. If you guys remind me, we can put it on the list and we can do paper towel art. It's in my book too. If you guys, you might know this and might not even know who I am that you have this. Let me see if I can find one. Just a second. So many moons ago, and I have to find Jenny because this is Jenny's book. Jenny was on the cruise with me and I was supposed to sign her book and I brought it home. So Jenny, if you're out there, 8675309, Jenny, remind me so I can mail this to you. So this book is mine. Vicki Booten, that's me. And the whole, see, look, Jenny, I signed it for you, is all art. And starting bubble wrap. I've been using bubble wrap for years. I think this book came out in 2008 or some kind of craziness like that. It's a long time. Crayon resist, gel medium resist, magazine collage, right? Masked backgrounds. It's kind of what we're doing a little bit now. Mono printing, negative mask. My son is 24. So when we find another picture of him, fabric painting, full letter press, frottage. So I think there might even be somewhere in here paper towel art, foam stamps. Oh, see, there he is. Like, look at, he's 24 now. So these same techniques that we are doing, this is why when I've only ever written one idea book, but it needed to be an idea book that would stand the test of time. And you can do all of these things, right? So I agree. Keep all of the things. Anything that you use that's a piece of paper, right? You can turn into the next layer of art. I love it. So could you use this just like this? You could. But I want to put a layer of gesso on top. So I went in with a loops stencil for this one because I needed a lot of gesso deposited. If there's not a lot of gesso on here, you're not going to quiet the pattern. So where I did it is kind of through the middle. So if you're here and you're joining me because you were watching Hanging with Hero and you're predominantly a card maker, you could use all of these for your cards. You might want to scale it down a bit, but you totally could. Just curious though, doesn't paper towel disintegrate pretty bad in a short amount of time? Probably the paper towel that you use might, but do I have any paper towel art handy? Let's look. I don't know if I've kept any of it. I have some of my art is here, but we're going to sew on it. Like, look at the art from that book I just showed you, right? I still have it. And it's got to be a solid 15 years old. Look, I still have it. This was the magazine art one that we painted on. But your paper towel art is paper. And if it's going in your album or on a frame, or really unless it gets rained on, you're going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Right? You're going to be fine. But I've used dryer sheets. I've used, like you see, baby wipes. Anything that is fibrous or paper can be a medium that you use, right? So I'm going to go on here now, and I'm going to gesso like in kind of the center to the right of the page. So I'm going to apply once, clean my stencil, apply a second time. But I'm going to heat set it a little. Now, you have to be careful because gesso really isn't meant for heat, but I'm going to cheat because it's what I do and I have no patience. In a perfect world, you put this down and you'd leave it to dry. So I opened a brand new jar of gesso. This gesso, the Vicky Booten one through American Crafts, is a lighter body gesso. It's not super, super thick. So I'm not going to have the same opacity. My drying time is going to be different than yours for multiple things, depending on the humidity in your air, the heat. The other thing that will affect that is the type of gesso it is, how thick you put it on or how thin you put it on. Some of this, because my paper is a little warpy and wonky, is going to bleed under it, and I don't care. I'm just going to go with it. And I'm not filling a whole rectangle. And less is more. You can always add, but you can't take away. I'm loading the back of my palette knife, or you could use a room key or an old gift card. And I'm going to only pull this in one direction towards me. If you go back and forth, you have a better chance of pushing it under the stencil. So I'm going to go on here and I'm going to pull this towards me and try not to overwork the areas. The other thing I want to do is I want the drag marks and bippity boos in the gesso. Like I want to have where it looks like a little textural stucco-y kind of thing. Okay. So let's see, I can always add, but I can't take away. I'm not filling a full rectangle, but I also want the little draggedy bippity boos, okay? So let's get some of that. And now I'm going to lift it and see what I got. Did I get some draggedy bippity boos? Because that texture is going to look funky, okay? Not too bad. I didn't have a ton of bleed. But now do you see that I quieted that whole pattern down with the gesso on top? So I'm going to get up because I do have a sink across from me, and I'm going to clean this. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to heat set this a little bit. And then I'm going to put one more application on. Now we were talking about if you didn't use circles, do you see that it's a lot of pattern going on there? If I would have went in with a simpler pattern, it won't be as funky. course, my paper towels are over there. So depending on the pattern you use, you're going to get a different effect, right? Let me get my paper towel. Oh yeah, I love it. With Christmas colors, it would be great. If you did one that just was all tonally the same, like it was all different shades of turquoise, you could have a very subtle effect. Yeah, very subtle effect. But yeah, it doesn't matter if you're a card maker. I'm just drawing my stencil, letting my gesso. I like to put lids on stuff too in between, so because the more air that gets into all of this stuff, the quicker it dries out. You definitely could put a piece of the stickin', what's that stuff called? The cling film that is like sticky, that I just totally forgot the name of. I forgot. Okay, so now, because this is acrylic-y based, it's got plastic in it, I'm just going to take the shine off. I'm going to heat set till the shine kind of goes matte. Now, that doesn't mean it's completely dry, but I'm going to make kind of the onion skin layer on top with my heat gun. So I'm cheating, because normally I would say leave this to just dry. Just leave it to dry. Now, my gesso is kind of a lighter body, meaning it flows more. So some of the pink from my Distress ink is shining through my gesso. I will keep kind of moving my heat gun around to, I'm cheating. But I don't want bubbles. Don't make it bubble. And then I will heat the back of it as well. Press and seal. Thank you. Yes, and the elastic bands on your char. But you can buy those bands, or eat all of the broccoli, yeah. But to be honest with you, a lot of mine, as long as you put the lid on tight, I've not really had any problems with my mediums. And I don't even really press and seal all of it. It's a great tip. I just don't use it all the time. Okay, so if I pressed on this, I would leave a fingerprint. It is not dry or cured, but it is not shiny. So now I feel like I can go and do the layer beside it, because I want to continue this, even though it's not a continuing. The broccoli is, you know how broccoli has the big thick elastic on it when it holds the bunches of broccoli together? That's why it's called a broccoli elastic. But you could just buy a wider elastic. You don't have to eat broccoli if you're like, I hate broccoli. So sorry, Tim, I'm not getting that. Then you just buy the elastic bands. Okay, so I want to make sure it's going the same direction. I actually flipped this one because I wanted the little loops to go in. It does not line up, so I'm just doing the same thing I did again, and I won't really touch these two, and I'll put a little bit more of a pattern over here. So I'm going to put one more pattern, or one more layer on here. Oh, asparagus bands, yes. Like just those big elastics that are on produce. Okay, so load up your palette knife. You want the medium where you can deliver it. So on your palette knife, keep it nice and clean and contained. Pull it in one direction. And I'm going to start at the top of the stencil and pull it towards me. And it just kind of tapers off. The little draggedy bits too. And I'm actually not going to mess around with that. I'm happy with that. Got my draggedy bits. I'm just going to throw this in the sink. I like that. It quieted the pattern down through the middle. And I'll be right back. I'm just going to quickly rinse. I like to get any kind of thick mediums off of my stencils right away. You will find lots of mixed media artists, their stencils are covered in paint, and that's totally okay if that's your jam. The reason I don't do that I like a clean stencil, is those thicker layers can change the integrity or pattern of the, like where'd that come from? Can change the pattern because you will have thick layers of acrylic on there, right? So I tend to at least like to have one layer of really, really clean. I'm going to send you stuff, Irene. It's coming. You're going to be able to play soon. Because I know you need this now more than ever. I'm not ignoring you. I just... the crazy life that I live. Oh, I forgot one step. We can do it after. So on my original, see this? I forgot to... I went back in with the saltwater taffy, and I put a layer up here. We'll see. I might like it better without. So we'll have one with and one without. I had done that before the gesso layer. So are any of my friends from Australia watching today? What time is it in your world? Australia, New Zealand, where were some of you guys from? Where are you watching from today, especially if you're new? I always like that. I am in Southern Ontario, Canada, right near Niagara Falls. So very excited. Actually, tonight in Niagara Falls, the lights are turning on, the Christmas lights, and they're having a big party down there. It's in the morning in Melbourne. I love it. It is 5:30 in my time, in my part of the world, on Saturday. So we're cheating. Because normally I would say do not heat your gesso, but I can't do the next step if I don't dry it. So sometimes for something like this, I would have done this ahead of time, right? So I like to dry the front and the back so I can dry from behind. Sweden, it's 11:30. Do you say the 2300? What is that clock called? What do you call that when you... I have to use my fingers when you guys do that. You're in Ottawa? So closer to me. Oh, I love that. I think I remember. Did we do a video of me signing your apron? I love that. So for some of you guys that placed your order and you ordered the VBoo Crew pin and it says will ship later, I ran out. I didn't even know we were that low. So I have to order some t-shirts too. All the smalls are gone. But look at this, could be done if you wanted to. That could be done. You could have this finished. You don't even have to do the gesso layer if you don't want to, right? Yeah, the lights are going to come on. It's going to be really pretty. I don't think I'll be going tonight, but we'll go. I like when the snow, if we get any this year, to go see the lights when the snow is. So I'm just going to give it a little bit. And then we're going to add a layer of sparkle. So, you know, if you're like, do I really need Distress Spritz? I have all of these sprays. I love these. I have to say, I do love them. I have an order in for all the rest of the colors, the new ones that came out. I do love them, especially this one, the Fossilized Amber, which is just a lovely gold. So you're going to see when I put it on here. So just know that it is just pigment, like the sparkle and water. There is not pigment. It is like mica, just the mica and water with those. So I'll show you when I put it on, what I'm trying to say. So normally I would let this dry, right? So, and then I will just cheat. I love these colors. This reminds me of like, candy floss. What do you guys call it? Candy floss. And what is the other name? Cotton candy or candy floss? Spun sugar. I know some of my Europeans and internationals, you have a different name for it. What do you call it? Fairy floss. That's what I was looking for. And that's even better. Who doesn't want some fairy floss? I love that. So I have to say too, because this new world, and my Australians are going to be so excited when they see what's coming next year. You're going to be so excited. So I was talking to my friend Michelle, and I need to come back. I need to plan for 2026 a visit back to Australia and New Zealand because I really love it. So I need to plan that. So now for this layer, this has to be dry, okay? In a perfect world, I walk away and let this dry for a bit, but we don't have time for that. So I'm going to shake this up. Make sure you can hear that ball shaking around because you want all of that mica deliciousness to be dispersed. For sure, I need to come. And I'm planning, Irene, for 2025. There's a cruise that goes from Boston and comes to Nova Scotia. So even if I was there, you could meet me. Come on the tour with me when I'm there, right? Go to Peggy's Cove and such. So I'm going to spray this just in the gessoed area. So pretty close. And we're going to deposit some of this medium on here now. So I want to show you something. It's going to be awesome. So look how pretty that is. And I'm going to tilt it because I kind of want it to roll into those areas. Okay. Kind of want it to roll in. Deposit a little bit heavier. Not everywhere, but some just a little bit more. Okay. So Distress and Gesso. The Gesso is going to, for the most part, resist the Distress. But can you guys see the gold on here? I'm going to start heat setting this. And it's going to push some of this fluid. I might even, let's see if I can cheat a little bit with the water. I want it to kind of flow around into the pits and valleys. Okay. And now we're going to heat set it. Maybe don't add the water. Don't do what I just did. So again, I'm not baking this like a cookie, but I want this to be dry because I'm going to show you what I'm going to do. So remember what I said, that the gesso will resist. I'm doing one more layer here where I added the water because I messed it up. Okay. So the gesso will resist this. So I'm going to next take a paper towel that is slightly damp. It can't be wet because I can lift all the pigment off. And I'm going to buff this a little bit to remove now some of that gold. So in Toronto, Taylor Swift, the Swifties have invaded. So we were supposed to go to Toronto next weekend, and I was like, why are the hotels so stinking expensive? And then realize, oh, she's here 2 weeks. Right? She's here 2 weeks. Or 2 weekends. So we're not going next weekend because that would be crazy town. So now I want a paper towel that's slightly damp. So a little bit of water on here. Not much. But what I want to start doing now is buffing. So can you see it start happening? Look right here. Can you see the texture from the gesso, the draggy marks? So now I'm very slowly lifting some of that gold off to show the texture. if it's too wet, you'll lift it all off. So I'm just buffing some of those white areas to expose a little bit more of the gesso. Get a new spot on your paper towel. And we're just buffing to reveal some of the gesso. It's almost like the rub and buff. And it also starts to make the gold, instead of just being like little pills or dots of it, it's blending it into the gesso. Love it. So we're kind of forcing it to be friends now with the gesso. So I'm doing that first layer, and then I'm going to wet my towel a little bit more and buff some of that off. See, and every time you do something, magical things happen, because I didn't realize that I could make the gold, instead of it being polka dotted, I could make it come together more just by doing that. So I'm going to grab a new paper towel. Don't make it too wet, because if I really wet this, I can lift all the pigment off. But I do want to lift a little bit more. See it starting to happen? I'm bringing some more of the white in the texture. You see that? I want some of that gold to just sit in the little textury bits, but I want to lift some of it too. Oh, I love it so much. Okay, it's almost done. But you have to have patience doing this, and you have to really make sure you don't put too much water on your paper towel, or you'll lift all the pigment off. But oh my goodness, do you see that happening? This is one of those, yeah, I love that. And I'm finding a new spot so I don't redeposit it. Isn't that fun? So I want you to see it. I'm going to go in right here. So see how gold that section is? Now watch, when I go in with that damp, look what just happened. I lifted a bunch of that off, and now I can see all that texture plastery kind of look. So I'll come down here and do it. So find a new section on your paper towel. If you didn't put a lot of texture into your gesso, you might not want to do this part, because you won't really see it, right? It just adds to the contrast, I think. So I'm lifting a little bit of that gold so that I can actually see where the gesso is. If you wanted to, you could come in and do a couple gold dots on here, but I love this. And then know when to stop. One more in this area, a little bit up here, and I know to step away. It's good. There we go. Can you see the texture? It is very, very hard. When you have that gloss. So this one has a little bit more gold. My OG had a little bit less, but they're pretty close, right? Now, I have to say, I did those dots up there. I don't feel like it needs it. But maybe, let's add it, because it won't hurt. I can do it after. So I can do a little layer here of the, this is saltwater taffy. There. Oh, I like it. Add them after. Even now, I want a little bit more of my flowers to show. I can go in here and add a little bit more flower over here. I'm not even going to put any ink on there, but maybe I want a little bit of that to show, because I covered a lot of it with the gesso. Could go in and do that. Oh, I love it. Now I'm very happy. Now it's okay to step away. So if you wanted to know what I would do with this, I could totally do a layout on here. Like maybe some photos right here, some strips of pattern paper, some butterflies on here, and then a title, right? And remember the titles that I did that are at Joann's store and at your favorite scrapbooking store? Let me grab one that are just white. That would be fun on here, right? Just white. I'll grab one. Just a sec. Here's a pack of them. Here's a pack of butterflies. How crazy is that? Oops. I almost tripped on my light. But look. These are the titles I'm talking about. That you could definitely ink and do all the things, but on here, look at if you put just a white one down and then say 2 photos. I did not print anything for this, but let's see what I have. Imagine, right? Something like that. You could do. Because sometimes I don't want to cover all my pretty, so I wouldn't be putting much on here. I don't even think it has to be matted. You could matte it in the like the blue, like matte that in blue. And then I'd probably go with a simpler butterfly than these, but imagine, right? I probably wouldn't do these because I think that they're a little bit too much pattern. I would go with simpler, but you see what I'm saying? And it could be done. Could be done. For me, like I told you, I am totally okay if I don't put anything on this. I just like the process of making. But I know for some of you guys, you're like, I want to turn it into something. I love that. Oh, a black and white photos on here would be the bomb diggity. So here's what I'm going to ask for you guys. If you make something, please share it on the Vicki Boutin Creative Community Board on Facebook so I can see it, or make sure you tag me. And if you turn it into something, I would love to see it. Wouldn't this be fun if you were covering an album? Like imagine that as your cover. Oh, it would be beautiful. Or guess what? Just enjoy the process of making. You don't have to turn it into anybody. No one is the boss of you. You can do whatever you like. Whatever you like. No one is the boss of you. But I mean, for something, if I was going to turn this into a layout, I would, and if I wanted a double page, I would just do the reverse of this on another page. And then I could put a whole bunch of photos across the middle. But you don't want to cover everything. And I probably wouldn't put pattern paper on here, to be honest with you. I made my own, right? I made my own. So, Vicki, did you see my leaf art? I did rainbow watercolors with the leaves. I think so. Did I not thumbs it up or heart it? I was like, had my whole shipping hat on, so I've been terrible. I have not been on the boards, just tired, right? Only my dog is the boss of me. Yeah, my cat, who wakes me up at 4:30 every morning. But, right, I love that. Speckled egg is a beautiful color. I'm actually using it funny, on my Christmas projects with speckled egg is a perfect color for wrapped in ribbons. So I think it's the only color I've used that, and maybe mowed lawn or something. So I love it. So I hope you enjoyed that. I planned to be on here for about 2 hours, and it worked out perfectly. And I would love to see what you make. Again, I am a fan of Tim Holtz Distress ink, Oxides, and now these Distress Spritz, because that's magic. That it only left that gold on there. I love it. Beautiful. Again, that one was the Fossilized Amber. I'd buy a couple of them. I think you'll use it a lot if you like gold. So let me flip the camera now. I'll do a close-up so you guys can see this closer. So this is what this looks like. You get a better idea. It comes off your fingers. Like if I go up there and use hand sanitizer or give my hands a good scrub, wash your hair, it will come off because it's water soluble. But there, if you can see, I want you to see that texture. It will be a little blurry, but hopefully you guys can see that. I love it. I love this. Woo! But I have to say that picked raspberry is definitely one of my favorites. Hi! You guys just got to look at my nose. How fun. How fun is that? And all my chins, they were all there for everybody to see. But yep, that was lots of fun. I hope you get a chance to make one of these or some kind of version of it. If you don't want the gold on there, just don't put it on. Just leave the gesso. If you only wanted to do the stencil layering, any of these could be your finished project. You could have stopped at any point. So I find it's good. It just makes my heart so happy to do this stuff. Like I said, I want to do a different technique with gesso where we're going to paint around a shape with it. So I think that's what we'll do next week. So similar tools. We're going to use similar tools for a different effect. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. If you do make something, I'd love to see it. If you haven't already, make sure you thumbs up the video. Leave a comment in the regular comment section. I would love that because it's always nice when the live chatter goes away. Tell me what your favorite thing from today was. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe. And I will see you next Friday, because I am home next Friday. The following Friday, we are going to Toronto for Christmas festivities. We're going to go to some of the pop-up Christmas bars and do the Christmas market and a whole bunch of fun things. So I will be here next Friday, though. And thank you, as always, my friends, for joining me. I cannot wait to see what you make. Remember, we can create with no purpose at all other than the pure joy and fun of it. So have some fun with it. Make sure you share. And we'll see you guys later. Bye, guys.